Uniquely me is uniquely you. Balancing the different hats of life, achieving all your goals in the name of Christ. Uniquely me is uniquely you. You can do anything. With the S on your chest, you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. You are a winner and you're an overcomer. You can be all things to Christ who gives you strength. Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Thank you so much for tuning in each week and taking in the stories of our women who are so resilient and strong. I call them unique women, but they're really super women, no doubt. So guys, I'm just checking in. Have you gotten a copy of Uniquely Me? That's the book for which this program is indeed built off of. You can get your copy on Amazon, and of course tune into our YouTube channel at Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart just to see what's really happening behind the scenes. But anyway guys, you know I want to get into it. On set today I have a very good friend of mine. Lord, we go so far back. I don't even want to call it so much an interview today. I think I want to call it more of a, we're just going to sit and lime and talk a little bit about the word. I'm talking about Evette Baugh. Hi Evette.
Hi.
Even, you know, as I thought about our interview, I kept, you know, thinking that I really want a kind of relaxed setting, almost as if we're sitting on the beach. But of course, we want to dig in a little bit first, you know, because, you know, person want to know who's Evette, you know, because my show always bring these women with all kinds of experiences, you know, women who have been through trauma and stuff and have overcome. But who is Evette?
Okay, so you like to know about my job, my profession, whatever.
Anything at all you want to tell us about you?
Okay, I've been a teacher for so many years. I've also been a counselor for over 20 years.
Wow.
And I went to Bible school. We were both at Bible school together, trade minister. I also teach Sunday school class. I've done Bible study, and I've also shared the word on different occasions.
You know what I love about you, Evette? I love the word. You're a woman of the word, and one of the things, and I'm sure those who are watching can really attest to the fact that once you come across Evette, it's just word, 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 and it doesn't stop, and it's just beautiful. So, no doubt, a Bible scholar. And guys, we were in the same Bible school, those from Jamaica Open Bible Institute. All right, so Evette, life growing up. What were your thoughts? What did you want to become growing up?
Okay, the fact that I've written a book,
Yes.
and I've said that to my students at school, I'm always sharing with them, always passing on, because I believe that, you know, the Bible tells us that we should mentor those, you know, who come after us. So I'm always sharing with them parts of my life. Some I will not say on the program because I say it to my students, but definitely not to Jamaica and the world. So there are things I won't share. But my writing a book in high school, you know, before you left high school, everybody's sharing what they want to do with their lives and so on. And my dream and my goals, as I told my high school mates at the time, is that one, I wanted to be a lecturer at a college. At the time, the only college we had in Jamaica was College of Art, Science and Technology, CAST. So that was one of my aspirations. The other, I told them I wanted to be an author. I wanted to write.
Wow.
So in high school, that was a dream I had.
Yes.
And I wrote them down. And as each was achieved, I would tick them off. So when I ended up at a college, I said, wow, thank you, Lord. I am now a lecturer at a college. Maybe not at the one I wanted, but at a college. And so I've always had this dream. I want to write, but to get yourself settled down and write. So it's when you had your writer's workshop and I went and, you know, you inspired me. And I said, all right, let me try. But the funny part of it is that in writing, I started out writing my life story. And somehow, I don't know, I had to say, Lord, where are you taking me? I found myself going in a totally different direction from where I was going with the book.
Yes.
And I found myself, when I prayed, I said, Lord, what should I say? It came to me about this name, and writing about this teenager. So I said, okay. And I started writing, and the thoughts were just flowing. I've always been a descriptive writer.
Yes.
So, you know, and I believe, in writing, I should write so that the reader can actually feel,
Yes.
you know,
They're almost in the
right in the scene and so on. So I love to write like that. So I started out writing about this young girl. But Anne, as I wrote in the book, she is really an example of all the Annes that we have.
Yes.
And as I said in the book also, I did not want to focus on the abuse because as a counselor, you don't want to re-traumatize your client.
Yes. Yes.
And so what I go after is more the feeling. How are you coping with the feeling? So it's not about the abuse because it's already gone. It's already done.
Yes.
You can't change it and you cannot go back. But what I can do now is work with you now to find the strength in you
Yes.
to cope with what is happening. What do I do when I hear a song playing or I hear a voice speaking, somebody speaking to somebody, but the voice reminds me of this horrible experience? How do I cope with that so I don't break down every time? How do I cope over time with, what has happened? And so the book, I try to focus more on coping
Yes.
because there are many books out there that write about the abuse and go into graphic details. I was not about the detail.
Read a few lines for us, and then we dig a little more into the book.
Okay, I'm looking at the prologue. Anne Silveridge, aged 14 years, stopped and listened as she heard a heavy trot of footsteps coming up the stairs. She looked around and realized that the house was silent. With the exception of the footsteps, she was alone. She panicked. And with her heart thudding, she tried to think of finding a safe place where she could hide. The threat of danger was real as the footsteps got closer. She tried to scream, but all she heard was a faint whimpering coming from her throat. She tried to think once more, but she could only hear the loud thudding of her heart, like the crescendo of musical instruments at the finale of a recital. With weakened legs, she felt paralyzed as she imagined her worst nightmare. Like a caterpillar in a cocoon, she felt trapped.
I'm telling you, listening to that, and guys, I can tell you, even though, yes, as Evette said, I would have worked with her on this book, but I had to read this book for myself, and I literally took a full morning, maybe about 2 hours, and just went through the entire book. But even as I read your book, I could almost identify a teenager growing up. And we've had so many women on this set who have spoken about the whole matter of being abused and that kind of thing as teenagers. I remember one young lady from about age 9. She was being molested by about 3 different men in her community. And your book almost gives us a front row seat into what is taking place behind the scenes for these women.
Emotionally.
What's happening in their heart.
Emotionally.
What's happening in their head. How do they cope? But you, on the other hand, Evette, I know you have worked with a number of these persons, and I want to talk, just us talking a little bit about what are some of the things that you're seeing, especially more young ladies, the homes from which they come, the ones that are being abused. What are some of the things that are contributing to these abuse?
Okay, one of the thing that I am really concerned about, I've spoken to a number of counselors, and I've heard social workers with it too, is the whole, with Corona, with the children being at home for over 6 months now, going 7 months, I really have some serious concerns.
Yeah.
Because statistically, not only locally but internationally, majority of the abuse is by someone the child knows.
Yep.
Either a family member or a close family friend. And why it is so traumatic, even more traumatic than a stranger, you have to live with this person.
Yeah.
And knowing what this person is doing to you, knowing that your mother knows or others know and they are not doing anything because the man may be the breadwinner and this person, or maybe the parent fear this person leaving them because emotionally they have their own issue. And so you find that I'm concerned about that what is happening to these children.
Yeah.
These perpetrators now have access to them 24/7.
Even one morning, I tell you, in the heights of COVID here in Jamaica, I remember getting up one morning and I just felt the need to just be crying out for our children. Because I kept saying to myself, it's one thing that they're abused, but they get a chance to leave the home and
Go to school,
But
right?
here it is that these children now are locked in the house, and if it's like anything like my home, they're not even allowed to go outside. They can't go mingle, but yet they're locked in. And then remember that a number of us could not go to work. So you're in the house with these persons, these, as you said, perpetrators, and you might have a case where one parent gets to go out and leave the one. What happens if it's the abuser get to stay home?
Thank you.
Oh my God! But even have you ever gotten a chance to talk to like some of the parents or anyone along a parent per se who they're familiar with what is happening to their child but has not done anything about it?
Okay, yes. I had one parent who her daughter, her daughter was being abused. She was raped from 5
Lord Jesus.
for 2 years until she was 7. And that case affected me more than, some of the others that I dealt with.
Yeah.
Because my girlfriend who was a counselor also at the same agency as myself. She said that she couldn't deal with it. So of course I got all the children with all the abuse and so on. And I really felt it for the little girl because I spoke to the mother. The mother at first, she said life was so challenging for her. She was trying to make ends meet as a single mother. So she wasn't aware of what was happening. When the child came to her and made a statement, and she said she ignored it because she was trying to prepare breakfast. She was trying to get them ready for school. But she heard the one a little older said, "Me tell her she not going to do nothing."
Lord Jesus.
So she said to her, "Why would you make a statement like that?" And her reaction, honestly, I can understand her frustration. The child felt like she was the one at fault. And so they couldn't get any more information out of her. So I worked with her, got quite a number of information for her. But what angered me, it was our justice system. Because it was an adult that committed a crime. And so, well, let me not say crime because they said he wasn't until the court says that, he's guilty. But in the court, I went to court the day because I knew she would be nervous. It's a little baby. And they said because it was an adult, it went to the adult court. And here I see the judge sitting on a seat like he's elevated. A policeman shouting, the name and this authoritative name, calling the poor little baby. And she was standing here and the perpetrator was there. And I was saying to the policeman, can I at least come to the courtroom with her? So at least you know that there's somebody there. No, I couldn't come in the court. And so the poor little baby, she held on to me and she was shaking so much. And I was saying, no, God, this cannot be right. It's not right for the baby. I was saying they should not have had the child going into the courtroom with this man. And then the matter was put off.
So it's a case where the child had to go back to
right, again. So it's like they were traumatized, re-traumatized. Because you're actually standing beside this perpetrator who did this to you for so many years.
I want to wrap up this part of it. But how do we, I don't know, is a what or is a how? How do we attend to cases like these? If, for instance, I know of a neighbor who's being abused, a neighbor's child that's being abused, or a neighbor that is abusing, or, we come in contact, because these are things that we are receiving. It's so much in the society that it could literally be next door. How do we deal with such a thing? From your counselor standpoint, how do we deal with such a thing?
Okay, there are 2 points I want you to address, 2 things that you said. One, persons are kind of hesitant about reporting. And I mean in these days with, we call it persons, where they say that you go and give information about them, so reprisals, so persons are kind of fearful about that. And sometimes they say it's not my business. And so they leave it, but sometimes when it's staring them in their faces and they can't ignore it. And so you find most children will actually go to the teacher. Because I say to persons, a child is at school with the teacher more than they are with their parents and others. And the child over time learns to trust if the teacher is an approachable person. So most of the times the children will come to teacher and say, Miss, this is happening. Or sometimes on programs on the television, you will see, come on, you can call an helpline, and this will help. So sometimes the children call the helpline, and so on. So you'll tend to find that some children will take the initiative, and so on. But most of them will go to their teachers. Because I've had more than one student come. Things that students have shared with me, their parents don't know. Sometimes when we see the situation is of such, we'll call the parent and say, can you come? Let us have a meeting. We will be there. So we are there with the child. And then I would ask, because the child is your client. So I'll ask the child, I'm going to call your mommy, because this situation, mommy needs to be involved. Or daddy, if it's a father that is there. Tell me, what do you want me? What part you want me to tell them? Because I cannot breach their confidence. So I'll ask them, and they'll say, you can tell her this, you can tell her that. Or I said, I'm scared. I said, we will be here with you. So, and so you do that. So, and another aspect to what you said about the neighbors. Unfortunately, in Jamaica, and it is something that research has shown too, we have become complacent. And persons, yes, and even in the home, what we find is as persons have accepted the abuse, and they don't think about the child and the long-term impact. I spoke to one mother, and she said, Miss, nothing wrong with her. She outside a play. It not affect her. And so I'm saying to her mother, look at the whole picture, what happened to the child. Miss, but she a play, nothing wrong with her. And so they don't think about the psychological impact that this what the child trusted this person. The child is there with this perpetrator there. And many times, you know what the parents do? They have the children saying that is somebody attacked them one evening from school and raped them. Yes, because one child, when I spoke to her, she said, Miss, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's my stepfather. But my mother told me to tell the police that I was going home from school and it was dark and I didn't see the person's face. But she says, my stepfather. She said, Miss, I'm talking because he got me pregnant and she had a baby. And she said, he's now going after my younger sister. And so he's not going to do to her what he did to me. And that's why sometimes the children themselves talk. Yeah. Because and sometimes also the sad part of it, that sometimes it's all third generation molestation and abuse and rape. Yeah. Sometimes it's one person in the family going through three generation of women. And so these women keep silent and tell their children to keep silent too. So it's a serious issue that as a society and a nation, we have swept it under the carpet because we said there is no damage to the child. We don't think of the psychological and emotional impact.
Well, even this was not the plan of where our interview was to go, but God is strategic with what He does. I remember having, I think it was, I had a guest on set who, three daughters of them, three sisters I should say, and the father was actually molesting all three of them. And what we have found, we have a few who has went into prostitution. There's one in particular, she left from Kingston to Montego Bay, trying to run from the situation. But then of course, normally their first inclination is usually to run. But once they run, they're not necessarily going to anywhere of safety, so much safety and so much in terms of safety, if you understand what I mean. And so they're turning to the next best thing, which usually we find is prostitution, abuse, and that kind of thing. And it seems like it's a
cycle
or a cycle that is just completely out of control. But yet, these are some of the same women that come up and are resilient and strong and stuff. What worries me is when it moves on from their generation to the next. And how do we fix something like that, Evette? What do we do? Woman to woman, how do we fix that? What do we do?
It's a challenging question because let me tell you.
It bothers me because you see, I have a daughter, and I don't mean to cut in, but I'm passionate about these things. And I know a few other women that's watching right now, and mothers in particular watching, saying, thank God somebody is taking this bull by the horn. How do we deal with this? Do we knock out these men? Will we go to prison if we knock them out, that kind of thing? Which the truth is, the honest truth is, if I am to be made aware that somebody in my house have abused my daughter, I'm trusting that God will make it with somebody, you see, who have no form of attachment to. Because it might be harder if you attack them if it's somebody that you're attached to, you know. But if I hope it's somebody you're not attached to and I get to knock them out. But, you know, next thing is I'm on TV. But how do we deal with that, Evette?
Okay, one of the things, you have to let your daughter know your stand.
Yes.
I went to a conference at UE with, what's his name? This psychologist. He was at Bellevue, but he's retired now. Professor Icklin, right? And Karim Mensah, yes. I went to his conference, and it was on the same topic of abuse. And they were looking at the, effects on the brain, emotion, and so on. And, as ladies, we meet together, we're all sharing. And when we were there discussing, we all said to each other, if we looked at the definition now for molestation, maybe we'd say that most of us were molested as children. Because there were persons who inappropriately touched you as a child, and you knew it.
Yes.
And you would say, no.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to her, at least most of us would have had at least one experience of, molestation. And each person was saying, well, my God, it's true. And so that is one. But the good thing about it, which is one of the things that we are encouraged to do, as a parent, let your child know your stand.
Yes.
And so my mother always say to us, anybody put them on for you, even your father tell me we kill him. So parents always say that. So I knew my mother was not for that. So when somebody came and he shook my hand, but I knew it was inappropriate, and I, looked, and I went to her and told her and pointed at him and said, he did it.
Yes.
And my mother looked at him and said, prison, I'm not going to go to prison today. But she said it's a good thing, and that's what you did.
Yes.
What you did was right. So your child knows that mommy will not cover for this person.
Yes.
My mother will not allow this person to continue with what they have done. They made once, but the child needs to know your stand.
Yes.
And so a lot of mothers, the children don't know. And so when the perpetrator threatened the child and said, listen, I will do this to your mother or what? My mother tell me, nobody can kill me. Nobody can do this to me. Anybody do it to you, come and tell me. I don't care who
It is. You know what I always say though? Here's my thing, Evette. I always say, because it's just a mind game, Because I'm saying, by the time the child come tell me, I would have gone to report it to the police, or I told somebody else in authority, and then go to that person before I head over there. So the time that them are going to try kill me, everybody knows if me that them cause it. So they're playing tricks on the children's mind. But if we really look at it, we realize that, listen, they really can't kill we. But you stated it right. Allow our children to know what our stance is. I would also add in there, allow our children to know what is good touch and bad touch.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Right?
They need to know.
To know what is good touch and bad touch. And do not be afraid to, well, let me tell you what I do. Personally, I say to my children that we don't keep secret. Because that's the first thing I notice they always want to do. Well, let's keep it a secret. Nobody needs to know. And then for whatever reason, this psychological thing just impacts us, that we keep it a secret. And then because it's a secret, they keep doing it. They keep doing it. They keep coming to touch. They keep doing whatever and that kind of thing. But yes, so we're outlining some points, for those mothers who are listening. And we have some teenagers and stuff and some children who's been tuning in to Uniquely Me. So let's see if we can outline maybe about 3 steps, if there's abuse going on. So the first thing is to, what you said was the first thing again?
Let the child knows your stand.
Okay, so children, you need to be understanding what is your parents' stand. Parents, I'm going to add that as number 2. You need to have a standard. Right? Don't be like that parent who say, oh, because the child out the door playing, it doesn't mean, it means that they're not impacted. Children are one of those, I don't know Evette, but I find that I slap my children and them come back to me for comfort. But then Simone, I have a way to tell me, what you told me the other night, she said, I'm not coming back into your bed until you apologize to me. So, we need to have standards and don't believe that our children are not impacted. So let them know our stand and we need to know our standards. The next thing would be
Good touch and bad
teaching our children what is the good touch and the bad touch. And then fourth,
Okay, one of the challenges, see, we tend to tell our children, beware of strangers.
yes.
How do you tell your child that the enemy in the home? You know, that's a challenge. And so as you said, we have to let them understand that, listen, don't let anyone touch you in your private area.
Yes.
And we also have to set a routine. It's either me, mommy, that bathe you,
Yeah.
or if you're not too sure about daddy, well. But no, you have,
true.
and not only that, you know, but you have female abusers too.
Yes, yes.
And so it's really a crazy world we're in. And so, but you have to really and truly know who you allow
Yes.
to really bathe your children, because you could really be giving permission to the abuser. So you need to make sure. It's sad, but really and truly, you have to, because many times the enemy is in the home.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here on Uniquely Me. Finally, a set of women talking out, not afraid to acknowledge that, hey, we have abusers all over and we need to be protecting our children. And we're saying, children are giving you a little slang. Don't touch me there, with a little attitude, or not touch me there. Or we can come up with something, not sure, Evette. Sure. But Evette, thank you so much for coming on set and sharing this afternoon. Like I told you, you know, I felt like I could sit comfortably on the beach with you with a pina colada or something, you know.
Virgin pina colada.
Yes, the virgin one. And we just have a little chit chat and that kind of thing. Thank you so much again for sharing. And of course, if there's somebody watching and their child is being abused or they know about it, can they reach out to you for counseling? She's thinking about it, guys. Reach out to me. I will reach Evette for you. Yes. But thank you so much again for tuning in. And indeed, we want to be protecting our children every chance we get. And remember that it's not always about the strangers, but it's also sometimes in the homes. So take note of our 4 points. Allow your children to know what the standards are. You set a standard. Tell them we don't keep secret. And of course, don't touch me there. Thank you. See you next week.
Who am I really? Choices, choices, choices. In pursuit of a career? OMG, I'm a wife. Help! I am a mother. Oh, I'm in church. When do I get to be a woman that God called me to be? Uniquely Me covers the acrobatic endeavors of every woman to balance the responsibilities of being a mother, a wife, a professional, a church leader, a friend, yet still maintain her identity. I too am a mother, a wife, a trained minister of religion, a banker, an entrepreneur trying to balance the many hats that signifies my role. My book will help motivate and empower every woman who is really unique in her own way. Grab your copy today on Amazon, because Uniquely Me is uniquely you.
Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart was brought to you by MTM TV, RT3 Media, Boz Drapery, TNT Fashion, TB Art Graphics, Holtz Hardware. Thank you for tuning in to Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Remember, Uniquely Me is uniquely you.